Today's news shorts brings us a couple of very positive events that begin to reveal that the sins of the past against the people of the world are slowly beginning to be revealed as this mess unwinds and we try to rebuild our world. Each day, it is becoming clearer to me that the structures of the past need to be almost completely dismantled and built back from the ground up. These news clips aren't meant to be the breaking scoops about the acts in this circus, but to be the spark that ignites the hope and gratitude that will lead our hearts to a more fulfilling and enlightened future. Our forefathers laid the foundation for a fair and civil society by establishing core principles rooted in liberty, justice, and personal responsibility, values meant to guide a nation toward enduring freedom and mutual respect. However, over the years, these guiding ideals have been clouded by manipulation, misinterpretation, and the erosion of ethical standards. As a result, we find ourselves at a crossroads where restoring integrity, truth, and moral clarity is not only necessary but urgent. To preserve what was originally intended, a society where fairness prevails and each individual is treated with dignity, we must return to the timeless values that shaped our beginnings, and while I try not to focus on the external chatter, it's important for us as spiritually focused beings to recognize exactly where we are in this process of ascension. Before we get started, let me thank all of you for your support. Whether it's a thumbs up, a share, or a comment, every gesture of support is picked up by the algorithms and helps me keep this channel growing. Those that are able to support me with memberships and super thanks tips, you truly don't know how integral your support is to keeping a project like this going. So I want to give a special thanks to @MansvilleHermit today for his generosity and support of the channel. I pray that in some small way that I have contributed to the quality of his life. So let's take a look at the most recent events happening in the wacky world around us. Democratic Representative Lamonica MacGyver has been arrested for assault. This is the delicate little flower in the red jacket and white shirt shoving and pushing into officers and ICE employees with her belly like a sumo wrestler. The U.S. Attorney for the district, Lamonica, said that she did everything possible to resolve the issue without charges, but MacGyver declined. Lamonica grabbed an agent and tried to restrain him and then pushed another agent, striking him with her forearm. She faces several charges, including assaulting, impeding, and interfering with law enforcement. I was tempted to put a picture of her, but I'm sticking to our beautiful sacred geometry images, so tell me if you think I made the right decision. I love the flowers. The New Jersey mayor was arrested on the day of the incident, but the U.S. Attorney has since dropped the charges on him, but not MacGyver. President Trump said, "We're done putting up with this crap, and personally, I am so thankful." Now let's look at the courts. Another lower court trying to obstruct the Trump administration's authority to govern has been overturned. In a 6-3 decision, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld President Donald Trump's authority to remove 2 Biden-appointed members from federal boards without cause. Gwynne Wilcox was removed from the National Labor Relations Board and Kathy Harris from the Merit Systems Protection Board, creating an important precedent for executive power. The ruling, which overturned lower court orders to reinstate the officials, redefined the 1935 Humphreys executor precedent that restricts presidential removal of independent agency board members to cases of misconduct only. The court's conservative majority, including Trump appointees Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, argued that the government faced greater harm from allowing the removed officers to continue exercising executive power. The 3 liberal justices, Elena Kagan, Sonia Sotomayor, and Ketanji Brown Jackson, dissented, warning that the decision could destabilize independent agencies and enhance presidential control, potentially affecting agencies like the Federal Reserve. The ruling, described as temporary but with a tone suggesting finality, could be telling us more than is apparent. Have you figured out how important this decision is yet? Liberals, including the justices, are arguing that allowing President Trump to fire appointed officials could affect the Federal Reserve. We all know that eliminating the Fed is crucial to the freedom of the people of the world. Two things I'd like to say here. In spite of some truthers who told us that our contract with the Fed was expiring, you must know that is inaccurate. The authority comes from the Federal Reserve Act, a law which has not expiration date. This is why it must be repealed by Congress. Secondly, the media talking heads are trying to say that the Fed doesn't fall within that category. I find it strange that the highest judges in the land believe this decision can allow POTUS to make changes in the Federal Reserve, but the talking heads don't. Who do you believe? And what happens if President Trump can remove the head of the Federal Reserve? Well, that's not the end of the Fed yet. To remove the Federal Reserve from control over interest rates, monetary policy, or the U.S. money supply, it would require a formal act of Congress to repeal or significantly amend the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 and the establishment of a new monetary authority or system to take over those responsibilities. So we are working our way through the courts to do everything according to the book. On May 21, 2025, President Donald Trump met with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa in the Oval Office to address bilateral issues, including trade and the sensitive topic of violence against white South African farmers. The meeting, initially intended to focus on trade relations, took a dramatic turn when Trump, prompted by a reporter's question about the U.S. decision to admit white South Africans as refugees, dimmed the lights and played a montage of social media videos. Trump, known for his direct and unorthodox diplomatic style, used this meeting to highlight what he sees as an urgent issue, presenting Ramaphosa with social media videos and articles depicting violence against white South Africans, including chants of "kill the Boer," "kill the farmer," to push for action on rural crime. Trump also brandished printed news articles, repeatedly emphasizing death, death, death to underscore his narrative of a genocide against white farmers. As I'm watching him move from leader to leader, it becomes evident that President Trump's diplomatic engagements are uniquely tailored to each leader and issue, often blending bold gestures with deal-making to advance U.S. interests and global stability. In each case, Trump's direct approach, whether showing videos to Ramaphosa or engaging in high-stakes summits, aims to cut through bureaucracy BS and create quick results. This approach, while touted as confrontational, reflects Trump's belief in bold, transparent dialogue to address the many challenges across the globe, and I just love his no-nonsense yet cordial approach. President Trump promised to make America healthy again, and less than 100 days after his executive order directing the MAHA Commission, they are now delivering a report which identifies 4 major factors that contribute to the rise in childhood chronic disease. The 4 factors are, first, a poor diet of ultra-processed foods that dominate children's diets. The next factor is environmental chemical exposure to things like plastics and aluminum. The next is a lack of physical activity and chronic stress, and how a technology-driven lifestyle is contributing to the decline of our children's physical and mental health. And lastly, the report identifies the over-medicalization that is occurring in America, specifically. The report then directs the administration to understand why these things are happening and what public policy can be implemented to assure that we are creating a more healthy world for our children. A few decades ago, 1 in 10,000 children had autism. Today, it's 1 in 31 children. That's just insane. Trump said they will not be influenced or controlled by the industry. 8 of the most common artificial food dyes are being phased out. RFK Jr. ended serious conflicts of interest at the FDA that we've discussed in the past. All of these things that we've known affect children are finally being acknowledged and addressed. Sadly, so much damage has already been done, which must now be reversed. You're gonna love this one, guys. I can't wait to see how the media spins this. The Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, identified that 19%, or 198 of the 1,048 U.S. Office of Personnel Management, or OPM, phone lines were either not being used or are duplicate lines. Subsequently, OPM canceled the extra lines, saving $100,000 a year. OPM uses only 10% of the communication lines. If we extrapolate that to all departments, just the unused phone lines could save the U.S. $100 million a year. Okay, guys, things are moving along, but it appears that activity is occurring that could eventually result in a restructuring of the judicial system as well as some changes to the Federal Reserve. That is the one that I've been waiting for decades. Once the Fed goes down, guys, we will know that the elite have fallen. I'm going to close this video with a word of caution. There is a narrative going around that an audio tape was played at the Diddy trial implicating him in the death of the artist formerly known as Prince. I have been able to determine that Diddy held at least one white party at Prince's LA mansion, and that the artist did die from an overdose of fentanyl. I've reviewed the warrants and evidence receipts on Prince's home and have been unable to confirm that an audio tape was retrieved exposing Diddy. I have also been unable to find evidence that Cassie provided an audio tape of Diddy admitting to killing Prince. I tell you this because it's how misinformation works to make you lose credibility. If such evidence exists, I will tell you, but at this point, there is a narrative trying to connect Diddy to Prince's death. And while I wouldn't put it past Diddy for 1 second, the evidence isn't out there yet. Many people have released transcripts, and this testimony isn't in any of them. I'll be the first to let you know if such damning evidence does surface, but at this point, I can't confirm it to any degree of certainty. So guys, don't discount anything, but don't believe everything you hear, because the only thing that the left has to distract attention is to make us look like liars with disinformation, and we're not going to take the bait. Till next time, remember that the purpose of propaganda is not to make you believe something. It is to make you distrust everything so that you believe nothing.